name's Dave, and in this video we're going to talk about conditional test. So very often in coding we have to check to see if something is either true or false, and the way we do this is with a conditional test. And often to perform conditional tests we use comparison operators. So I'm going to introduce you to comparison operators. And also before we get started, I want to remind you to follow along with me. You can watch the video once through, then go back and follow along, or just follow along the first time. You can press pause if you need to. But I think it's going to help you a lot to type this code in and see firsthand what it does. So let's talk about the comparison operators. We have the less than sign, right? The less than sign, and greater than sign, and equal to sign. And it's very common for especially people beginning with programming to confuse the equal to with the assignment operator, right? So this is the equal to, two equal signs, and that's more like math. You know, the math equal sign is equal to. So this is, you're comparing, you're checking to see if one thing is equal to another thing, whereas the single equal sign is an assignment operator. You're assigning what's on the right to what's on the left, right, as we've seen before. So the next one is the not equal to. When you see that exclamation mark, it's going to mean not, or negatory, right? It's a negation, right? So that means not equal to, not equal to. And greater than or equal to. Here you're checking to see if the number on the left is greater than or equal to, well, whichever the numbers or whatever's on the right, right? And here less than or equal to, you're checking to see if what's on the left is less than or equal to what's on the right. So let's take a look at some of these examples. Okay, so we'll start with the greater than and less than sign. And note that I've created a variable here called true. I just named it true false. You can name yours something else if you like. And I'm using the camel case convention here, right? Lowercase, the first word, and the rest of the words are uppercase. So I've got a variable called true false. It's of type bool, right? It's a boolean. And I've just created a box here. And actually by default it has a false value. So when this runs it'll have just a false value. That's the default. And so I've got this variable, this box if you will, in the computer's memory, where it will be whenever the program runs. And I'm just going to assign this one variable. I'm just going to keep reassigning this one variable. Alright, so the greater than sign. So one way to keep it straight, whether you know, a little mnemonic trick to remember which is which, is the less than sign. Well, you look at the operation from left to right, right, from left to right, and the less than sign is pointing to the number it's trying to determine if it's less than. So it's pointing to the less than number, right? So it's pointing to the less than the number it wants to know if it's less than, right? So it's checking to see if 5 is less than 10, so it's pointing to the 5. And the greater than, the mouth, the alligator mouth, if you will, is open to the number it wants to know is greater, the number that it's determining if it's greater or not, right? So it points to the number it's checking to see if it's less than, and the mouth is open to the number it's checking to see if it's greater than, right? So this first one is checking to see if 5 is less than 10, and then 3001, is that greater than 3002, right? Okay, so let's step through this in the debugger. So I'm going to go ahead and put a breaking point right here. You just click right here, or you can also press F9. You just click on the line and press F9 if you prefer, or you can click over here, either way. So that sets the breaking point, so I know when I run the program it's going to stop right here, it's going to break right here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and run the program, and just click on this green button here, or you can press F5 either way. Just click here or press F5 and it's going to start running it in debug mode, right? Alright, so you see this program is running. And by the way, this is a console app. I may not have mentioned that in the beginning. This is a console app. And as you can see the console behind here, I'm just going to hide it for now. Okay, so I have the locals window here, and we're going to look at these values as we go in the locals window. Actually, we can, let's do this. Let's click on true false in locals. Click on true false, and you can right click and add watch. Click on add watch. We're going to add this to the watch window. So now we have the locals and the watch window. Note that the only variable in the watch window is this true false because I added it here. And this is a way to, if you got a lot of variables, several variables like we do here, you can add certain ones to the watch window, and you can sort of isolate them. There are other things you can do in the watch window. You could actually change the values here, and when we talk about debugging, we may see some examples of that. But for right now, we just want to isolate this true false variable. We have other variables here, but we're just going to isolate this true false, this Boolean variable, right? And it's of bool type. The value right now is false, right? Yeah, because it got a default value, and you can hover over it too and see that it has a default value of false. I didn't assign it false, that's just the default, right? So let's go ahead and step through. It's on this line, but it has not executed yet. So I'm going to click on step over, or you can press F10 either way. So I'm going to click on step over, and now it's executed this statement. It just executed this statement, right? And it checked to see if 5 was less than 10, and the result is true. It is. So it assigned true to the variable true false, right? They put it in that box, if you will. So it checked this and determined that 5 is indeed less than 10, and so it returned true, and then it assigned that to this variable, right? It dropped it in this box. So let's keep going. And of course 3001 is greater than, or is not greater than 3002, so that is false. So now true, that this variable has a false value. We can see false in the watch, right? And we'll keep going, and now 550 is greater than 450, and so of course that's true. So that's pretty much it to greater than or less than sign. Pretty straightforward. And you see I've declared two variables here, two int variables, num1, num2, and I just named them num1, num2. You can name yours whatever you like. And I just assigned them these values. So we can hover over the variables here and see what values are assigned. You know, we're looking in the box, right? And down here in the locals window, we can look in the box. So let's go ahead and step through that one. So here again, this time we're still doing the comparison, but we're doing it with variables. So now we're saying look in the box and see if the number in there is greater than the number in this box, right? So num1 is a variable, it's a box. So I'm saying, you know, take whatever's in that box, take it out, look at it, and see if it's greater than, it's a greater than sign, see if it's greater than the number that's in this box, right? In this case, it's not, because the num1 holds a value of 333, and num2 holds a value of 444, right? Because that's what we assigned to it. So it takes that 333 out of that box and checks to see if it's greater than the number that's in this box, this variable, which happens to be 444, right? So, and of course the answer is false, right? You can also hover over the operator and that'll give you the result. So let's keep stepping. You hear the same thing. It gets the number out of that variable num2, that box, right, which happens to be 444 in this case, and it's checking to see if it's less than this literal number, which is the number typed in, the value typed in, 922, and of course, and the answer is true. So let's keep moving. And here we have the equal sign, or the two equal signs rather, the equal to operator. So it's just checking to see if the numbers are equal, right? And num1, the number that's in num1, the variable num1 is 333, the number that's in num2 is 444. Obviously those are not equal, so that's going to be false, right? And this line checks to see if they're not equal. And they're not equal, so this is going to be true. This is true. This condition is true. Okay, so let's keep stepping through. And we can see 333 is equal to the number that's in the num1 variable, because it's 333, right? So this resulted in true. And let's keep stepping. So now we're going to compare strings. And later we'll actually see another way to compare strings, but this is okay for now. Okay, so I'm comparing these two strings. I want to know if this string is equal to this string. And let's see if it is. And it resulted in false. And the reason is because this has a lowercase h and this has an uppercase. So this will check to see if they're not equal. And it's true, they're not equal, right? So let's keep stepping. And I've just assigned the string hello world to this variable greeting. And now I'm going to check, now I'm going to use the variable, the variable greeting, and I'm going to check to see if that's equal to this literal string. And it is, it should be. And it is, it resulted in true, so let's keep going. And now I'm assigning a variable is sunny. It's a Boolean, of Boolean type, declared it to be a Boolean, assigned it the literal Boolean true, and is raining, assign that the literal Boolean false. So we did some comparison here. This is true. Is sunny is not equal to is raining, right? Is sunny is true. Is raining is false. So this condition, the whole condition resulted in as true. It's true that these two are not equal, right? And here the result is true because it's true that is sunny is equal to true. Is sunny, the variable, which holds a Boolean value, was assigned true. So it looks in this box, this variable, it takes out whatever's in there. In this case, it's true. That's what I dropped in the box. And it compares it, checks to see if it's equal to this, which is true. So, of course, the answer is true. True is equal to true, right? And, okay. Okay, now we have examples of greater than or less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So we're just going to step through these. And so pretty self-explanatory. I just recommend you type some of these in and just play around with them. Look at them in the locals window, hover over the variables, and just play around with it. Use different values, add some more variables. And it's the best way for this to really sink in is to just play around with it, right? So, okay, the last one I'm going to introduce you to is the is operator. You're probably not going to use this a lot, and but I just want to introduce you to it. It's checking to see if a variable is of a certain type. Is this variable of type string, right? So in this case, it's going to be true because my string, which is the variable, is of type string. That's the type, the data type that I declared it at is a string, and it holds a string, right? So it is a string. Okay, so that concludes part 1 of conditional tests. In the next video, I'm going to introduce you to logical operators, and that's a way for us to combine conditional tests together. So that's the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next.